Hello, welcome to Bright Spot Nails. Let's do some decals. These are my new water slide decals for you using today. I'm going to decide which ones I want, cut it out, and now I'll begin to trim. I'm going to kind of make sure which part of the design I want to keep, which way I want it to go on my nail. Once I've decided that, I will begin to trim to the size of my nail. I will round the top to the shape of my cuticle base. Remember, do a little at a time. You can always take off a little more, you can never add it back. So once I've trimmed it up a little bit, I will measure, make sure it's the right size, make sure it's the right shape. It's a little big, so I'll go in and cut off a little bit more. I trim them this way, rounding the cuticle, because for me it seems to help lay it more flat and avoid any wrinkles in the final product. So now I've trimmed off a little more. I will measure it up, and I like how that looks, so I will add it to my water. 10 to 15 seconds is generally long enough in lukewarm water. You don't want it too hot, you don't want it too cold. Damp off the excess on the lint-free wipes, and then I will use my jelly stamper to then slide it off the paper backing. I'm going to set that aside and get my dip liquids. We're going to apply a nice thin layer of the dip base, ensuring that we cover the entire nail and on the edges as well. Dip liquids do tend to dry quicker, and you want to make sure that you've got your decal precisely where you want it when you're ready to place. Unlike gels, dips don't allow you to maneuver it around very much. So I'm going to grab it, line it up, and press it down onto my nail. Using this method for me, I usually don't get very many wrinkles at all. It lays perfect. I will still go around with my little rubber tool just to make sure that yes, I have all of the sides laying flat and adhered to that base coat. Making sure it's nice and smooth around the cuticle as well. And now I'm going to go in and trim the excess off with my file. I'm going to go under my nail and file down one direction. If I had any excess around the cuticles, I can go in with a scissor and trim them off a little bit, or I can use a little bit of acetone and kind of melt the edges away. I don't personally like to do that too much. Too much acetone will erode the decal and wreck the image. Another reason why I do like to trim it to the size of my nail ahead of time. Now we're going to pick off those little extra pieces, make sure it's flat, cleaning off any dust. I will go ahead and apply a second decal to my middle finger a little bit later off camera. But for now, we're going in with the second layer of dip base on this nail. And we are going to encapsulate it with the dip powder, the clear dip. Encapsulating your decals make them last a little longer than just going in straight with a top coat. So I like the pour over method, so we're going to add our clear dip powder. Tap off the excess, and then apply my activator, to have that base dry. Now I've done the other you see off camera. We're going to go ahead and activate that one as well. You need to make sure you get plenty of activator on the nails so that it dries that dip. usually about 1 to 2 minutes. And I'm going to go ahead and get my dip out of the way, as we are going to buff, and of course you don't want that dust in your dips. Checking to make sure that it's smooth, and it mostly is, but I need to do just a little buffing. You want to be sure you're careful with doing that on the top of your nail, as it can wreck if you do too much filing. So small little buffing, wipe off with alcohol, and now go in with more activator. Again, allow that to dry. 1 to 2 minutes for mine. Use the directions to whatever dip liquids you prefer. And then we will go in with our top coat. With top coats, you kind of do a quick 1-2 swipe down each nail. And once you have that applied, you can go back in with a more detailed second coat. Want to use very little, and this way you can be sure though to get the whole nail nice and smooth, nice and shiny. Once that's done, your decals have been applied and your manicure is beautiful. And that's how we do dip liquid nail decals. Thanks for joining us today, and see you next time at Bright Spot Nails.